Hello and welcome to the puzzle of writing a citation. This lesson is going to dig into understanding how citations and references are written, but also understanding why we do citations and references and why they're a rhetorical practice that help us in academic writing. This is the first part of this video, and there will be a second part following. So first of all, understanding the term citations, references, they kind of get used in the same way, but generally it's helpful to understand the difference between what we call in-text citations, which are where in the main text of an article or a source you provide information here that points readers to a reference, usually included at the very end of an article or at the end of a book. Those references, as a reference list, is the full information, so where this information can be found. And the citation and the references work together to create a map of information. The in-text citations indicate where readers can find that information, where those ideas are presented, and it gives a sense of, who is talking and where that information is. Citations are also really important in academic and scholarly writing because they indicate the credibility of your writing. They show your reader that you're not making up these ideas, that these things are discussed and supported by other researchers and other scholars, and they show the agreement with the particular ideas. So citations are really important because they not only show where information comes from, but they build up your credibility as a writer and researcher. So again, the in-text citations point to a reference in the reference list. And the reference list, again, is the full information of where the article or the source can be found. Okay, it's a map, directions, if you will, to that source. And looking at a reference list allows you to see what kinds of sources were used. So again, it's a sense of the credibility. Are they using strong, credible sources, or are they really just, using a bunch of websites? So citations and references I think of as a map, information for finding a source. And so you really want to be able to provide that information to your readers. I also want you to understand citations and references as a rhetorical practice. By that, I mean they are used to share information in a particular way for a particular audience. And the way that this information is shared can change depending on the audience and the purpose and the medium and all these other things. As we go through this video and the next video as part of this lesson, it's important to pay attention to understanding the ways that these references are created for particular purposes and for particular audiences. Let's look at what I mean in a little more detail. First of all, different disciplines use different citation styles. You are probably most familiar with MLA style and APA style. MLA means the Modern Language Association, and that discipline tends to focus on the arts, especially literature, English, but also other world languages, French and Spanish. Much of the time, the sources that are being used for the scholarly work in this discipline are novels, poetry, other works of literature, often other scholarly articles. As a result of this discipline and their interests, the author and the works themselves are the most important. So that information is going to be present in the citations that you're going to see. APA, on the other hand, which is the American Psychological Association, there tends to be style used with the social sciences and similarly with some of the other natural sciences. For these fields, research articles are the dominant sources, and the currency of the research, that means how recently it was published, is going to be important. Readers are going to want to see that things are really current and up to date and that you're not using research from 50 years ago. if it's not relevant. The amount of research on a topic is important. So you're going to see more sources listed because they're interested in supporting the idea that this idea is well supported. That's a little bit redundant. But being able to see that a number of people agree on something or have researched a similar idea is important in APA. So let's see what that looks like then in practice. So here you see on the left side MLA and on the right side APA. So these are, again, research articles, but they're using different styles. And as you'll notice, there are similarities, but also differences in these styles. So for example, in MLA, we have an author name. And this is what we call an in-text citation, the parenthetical citation in particular. We have an author name with, in quotation marks, a shortened version of the title of a particular article or story or thing, something that this author Shohami has written. If we go down a little bit further, we can see that we have another citation by Shohami, but this one's a different article, so it's a different title. Again, these are shortened versions of the titles. If you go to the reference list, you'll find the longer version. So we have what's called parenthetical citations, which is citations in parentheses. And you can see that the ideas are presented and then readers are directed to a particular source that you can read more on these ideas. Okay, so idea, and then here are the sources that present this idea. Here we have another idea, and this time we have 1, 2, 3 different authors that present this idea. And in this case, with the Tsai piece, you have a page number. So if you were to go to the reference list and find the source written by Tsai, you'd be able to find it and then look at the specific page and find that page number. Usually page numbers are only provided for things that are quoted. And if we look further down, here we see a quotation. I'm sorry for the pop-up here. We see a quotation with a page number. Move that away so you can see. You see the quotes indicate text that is taken from that particular source. And we understand the source to be this person right up here. Okay, so you can see the person is exploring the work that's done by Minjun Liu here in this article. This is what's called a narrative citation. You notice that it's not in parentheses. Okay, so the article is presented in the 1994 article, Professing Multiculturalism. Here's the article title, Minjun Liu, here's the author. So these are working together as part of the whole narrative of the text to introduce and cite information. And here the article is dealing with another article, which, because we've been reading the fuller text, we understand that Bartholomew wrote. Okay, so this is MLA. So we have the idea of, the authors are more important in the titles of things. If we look at APA, we immediately notice that the year of the research article or the source is provided. So immediately we get a sense that the year is important, the currency is important. Okay, you can also notice that the P is used, the abbreviation for page is used with the page numbers. Okay. Here we also have a mix of the parenthetical citations. Okay, so here you get a sense of the different authors that support this idea. You have idea and then the articles that support it. But we also have narrative citations, but we use the author names, okay, much like it does down here. Severino notes how second language. So again, who the person is that has this idea. And then in parentheses is the year. Sugiharto also does this, okay? And this is the call echoed by Kanagaraja. So again, we're getting a sense of who's doing this and we're referring to them in the text and then providing in parentheses afterwards the year information so we can find the correct article. Just for comparison, let's look at a text that uses it might be IEEE, which is used in engineering, but it might be something similar to that. I don't know exactly which one this is using. But you can see already how different it is, that they use numbers. So this is a scientific article and use numbers, and the numbers then point you to the reference list, and they have that information in the reference list. Here, again, the ideas are important. Here's the idea, and then here are the sources where you can find the discussion of this particular topic in orthopedics, in cardiology, respirology, and urology. So in science articles, often the number of the sources are more important than who or when it was written. So giving a sense of there's 9 different sources that talk about this is kind of a big indicator that this is a well-supported idea. Additionally, science articles are often written by a team of researchers and authors. So you could have as many as 6 to 10 different researchers listed as an author, which would be very difficult to do in parentheses. It would become unsustainable and it would just take over the whole paragraph. And also, this allows the information to become more important than who said or who published. In science, you're more interested in the facts and findings and results of studies rather than this person talked about this and this person talked about that. In the humanities and social sciences, that often is more important. It's important for you to learn how to read how your articles and books are using citations and references. Start paying attention to how they introduce information and how they cite research, because that's, again, a rhetorical practice that you can then practice and bring into your own writing. I'm going to recap and then pause here for the next video. So again, to recap, references and citations are maps for finding information. They point your readers to more information. And those maps are written and designed based on different audiences and disciplinary needs and interests, the genre that you might be writing in, the purpose that you're writing in, and then also the medium. Is it online? Is it print? So all of these things are kind of part of the consideration of how you write references. This video will stop here. The lesson will continue in part 2 on the video.